Good afternoon, everyone. It's Coram and Carson here with a look at the market for Tuesday, July 11th, where we saw gains for the major indexes, but an even stronger day, Ed, underneath the surface.
Yeah, once again, some broad strength, so that's nice to see. Have a couple of Dow stocks I want to take a look at, Salesforce and Caterpillar. I also want to take a look at Booking Holdings.
Let's do that. But first, let's take a look at the major indexes today. The Nasdaq Composite up almost 0.6%. The S&P 500 up 0.7%, and the Dow up 0.9% today. Also, a look at small caps. The Russell 2000 up 1% with a breakout here. So this does seem pretty broad based. We'll also take a look at those equal weighted ETFs, Ed, to look at a different view of how that action unfolded today. But if you look up on the top level with the Nasdaq Composite here up on the day, we're sort of tightening up in a triangle pattern, I guess you could say. Not a breakout yet here for the Nasdaq Composite, but seeing a lot of positive action for individual names.
Yeah, I mean, the Nasdaq sort of going sideways while the rest of the market is stronger and leadership expands. It almost seems ideal because the Nasdaq has been close to being a little extended here and has been extended at times. So this is going really well. It's a lot of stocks broke out today or flash buy signals. And it's just good to see that kind of breadth, and the depth for this market rally. Even though we're in the sideways channel on a couple of the major indexes, it feels a lot stronger.
Yes, it's what we like to see. And here's a look at the S&P 500 getting close to its recent highs as it tightens up in a sideways trading range as well. And the Dow looking strong today, bouncing off of its 50-day line and continuing higher, getting back above 34,000 and towards the top of its long sideways trading range, Ed. And small caps looking good here as well with a breakout for the Russell.
I mean, that is where the real change you can see, like where we were like 3.5 days ago. It's like, this is not looking so good. It was sort of coming down, but really strong bounce there. And ever since then, been going up pretty much straight.
And we'd like to take a look at RSP. This is the equal weighted S&P 500 ETF, a breakout here. So that is also very bullish to see.
Yeah, this is looking great, and it just shows you, like the mega caps, some of them came under pressure yesterday, and they didn't do a whole lot overall today, some of that Magnificent Seven, but a lot of strength underneath.
Yes. And QQQ, the NASDAQ 100, up 0.5% today. Looks pretty similar to the NASDAQ Composite, but QQEW, the equal weighted NASDAQ 100, looking like it also flashed a breakout, although I am seeing it closed right around the high from mid-month in June, but it looks like breakout type action. If you draw a trend line, definitely getting above that. So seeing strength beyond those Magnificent Seven stocks.
Yeah, and just seeing that strength in RSP and IWM and QQEW, and that's why the leadership has expanded so much as opposed to just the 10, 20, 30 names that were doing well.
Mm-hmm. And let's take a look at 0TNX. This is the 10-year Treasury yield coming off a little bit again today after Monday's decline.
I mean, is this forming a handle hitting resistance, or is it going to come back down? We've got the CPI inflation report tomorrow morning. So that's just something for everybody to remember. Like, this could surge up. You could see all sorts of things happen. Just definitely be paying attention to that.
And we looked at the 10-year yield, so why not take a look at the dollar? We've been keeping tabs on this 200-day line. A couple of sessions ago, hit some resistance there and has turned tail, Ed. We can also take a look at some sector ETFs. Here's XLI. So once again, not just tech. And Ed, you've been all over this, whether it was that trend line breakout on 6.2, the orderly pullback that we saw shortly after this sector got into high ground here. And it's been up and away since then, pretty much.
Yeah, looking great. Just a huge, old economy that's joining with the growth stocks, and it's really looking good.
And IGV, this is the tech software ETF outpacing the Nasdaq Composite by quite a bit here, up 1.5% on the day.
And we'll talk more about that with Salesforce, sort of leading the way today on this ETF.
Okay, and speaking of Salesforce, let's go there. CRM with a strong move above a trend line within a base. Also, a lot of the trading action that had been happening around the 10-day and 21-day lines, which had converged. Ed, I know you like this kind of setup because not only do you have tight action and a bounce off of a moving average, but also clearing of a trend line. So it seems like a lot of different buy points, no matter how you draw the line.
Yeah, multiple reasons to be buying this one. You could buy that, and the short-term highs that it's getting above, strong volume. So there's a lot of things on that. Now, Salesforce today announced that they're going to raise prices by 9% in August. It's the first time they raised list prices in 7 years, and so there's a real nice fundamental reason. That's got to be good for the bottom line down the road. And it was also a positive. One reason why IGV was up was because of Salesforce directly, but a lot of other software names flashed buy signals as well today.
So potentially actionable here, Ed, and closing the day about 6% above the 50-day line. And on the weekly chart, just look at that tight action that we saw here. Really impressive. And it is now about 4% above the 10-week line. We know a lot of leading stocks like to hold that 10-week line as they are making their moves. And it seems like we do have a little bit of time here before the earnings report from CRM.
Yeah, that's a really good point. And being close to the 50-day, 10-week line is important because a lot of the names that have been breaking out come down to the 21-day line. They can quickly feel extended, and this one does not yet. So definitely actionable.
Yes, compelling mover there today. Also, Caterpillar on our radar with its breakout. We talked about XLI, so here's a look at CAT up 1.6% on the day. Is it okay in terms of the volume profile here just to see it pacing roughly average, do you think, Ed?
I think it's okay. I mean, that's it. It was okay volume, and I think it's okay. And also, we've had three. It wasn't like terrible. Some breakouts have been like terrible volume, then breakout, terrible volume. This one at least has sort of three sort of okay volume days. But it's not the best. The more volume, the better. This is acting well. Again, there's a lot of tailwinds for the sector. This is part of XLI. There was other names in there that are doing really well.
And this was our stock of the day today.
Yeah, and Jed Graham, who does a lot of the coverage on economics, and just talking about the tailwinds, like $1 trillion infrastructure spending, residential construction for housing is picking up again. So there's a lot of end markets for Caterpillar doing well.
The other thing to talk about here, Ed, would be the relative strength line. We're not seeing a blue dot here with that relative strength line at new highs, confirming its outperformance versus the broad market. But Caterpillar does have some periods where it can outperform the market. So as it breaks out, as industrial stocks are performing well, perhaps this could be a chance to try and see if adding some industrial sector exposure to the portfolio can pay off.
Yeah, and it's like look, it's always great to have a stock that's flashing a buy signal as it breaks out. It is on the daily chart. It's our relative strength line is above where it is on a handle. And you can see that it is the last couple of months on this move, it actually has improved, and the market has done pretty darn well. I mean, I know there's been a brief consolidation, but so has Caterpillar. But it had a nice move when the market was showing real strength too. So definitely the short term has been a nice improvement here.
And let's now take a look at BKNG Booking Holdings. Airline stocks obviously have been on a tear. Same with cruise line stocks. Can we see the likes of Booking and Expedia and Airbnb join their ranks? Well, Booking today flashing a potential early entry, maybe not quite at the left side high buy point, but why wait for a breakout when there's a reasonable resistance level within a base?
Yeah, and this one, the volume wasn't very strong today, but had decent volume the prior day. So that sort of like offsets it a little bit. And Booking was one of those that actually was the leader and just sort of faltered for a little bit. And there wasn't really a great place to enter it again. It's sort of like it went down through the 50-day line and sort of chopped around a bunch in there and now has a base, but it really did never break down. The RS line isn't at a high, but it's not far from a high. And that's after a nice prior uptrend. So that's a different scenario than Caterpillar. As you say, a lot of other things are moving. It's, a lot in that space. Expedia today did break out. I know that I think you and Justin looked at this stock, Expedia yesterday. That one actually broke out. So a lot of strength. It's nice to see these things. It's instead of a lone wolf. Booking was sort of a lone wolf, and now there's a whole pack, and that's good to see.
Mm-hmm. And we have a couple of weeks before earnings. That's something that could be an issue, right, Ed? In the coming weeks, we're going to have a lot of earnings reports that we're going to have to contend with and make tough decisions. Do we take profits? Do we hold into the report? Or if we're seeing a nice, actionable setup, do we take it with just a couple days till the report hits? I mean, these are going to be tough decisions traders are going to need to make.
Yeah, and the last earnings season, there were such enormous moves. I mean, we always talk, like having a cushion, but then it's like there was a lot of big 15, 20% moves or up or down, and it was just like that. So it's definitely something to consider. I'd also say, like, just broadly, it's like this is a market where, as you've been saying, look, when the market is sending these signals, you have to take advantage of them. I mean, the fact is, a lot of these things had head fakes. There are little things, oh, look, they popped out and then they come back. The thing is, so you have to be ready to take advantage of them, but also maybe not ramp up and buy a ton of stocks on one day, knowing that they might come back. We might come back tomorrow morning if the CPI report is not taken well, right. But take advantage of these things while you can, and just knowing that it may not always work out. So you just want to be, bullish, but still level-headed at the same time.
Exactly. Yeah. Follow the signs, but manage risk. So that's our safety, is that we have those risk management rules in place. All right, everyone. Thanks so much for tuning in. We'll be back with more tomorrow morning on IBD Live, and we hope you join us. Investors.com/IBD Live for all the details on that. If you are a Leaderboard subscriber, head over to leaderboard.investors.com for the team's quarterly scorecard webinar. They'll fill you in on performance. Some big movers, Ed, this year, including Meta, NVIDIA, and a lot more. So the team's going to break down their strategies for holding these big winners, looking for new names to add to the portfolio, although we do have quite a few. So I think it's going to be more about where do we add to these winning positions. So get a look at that over at leaderboard.investors.com. So the team will see you there, and we'll see you back in the morning for IBD Live. Till then, see you next time.